For the line and pattern boot camp, you need the paper that you're going to be doing the boot camp on. You need a template. You need a medium-sized tracer letter. And then you need 4 different colors across 2 different types of pens. So we have in our classroom, we have gel pens. Oops, we have gel pens. We have Flair pens. We have Crayola markers, and then we also have Sharpies. But for this, I'm only just going to use gel pens and Flair pens because I feel like they work the best. So again, you need 4 different colors across 2 different types of pens. I think I'm going to go with those. Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to go with those. So then the last thing you need is the biggest thing you need, and that is your light pad. And so these are on our white supply carts, or they may be in another place in the room, but you need one of those, and then you'll plug it into your Chromebook to give it some power. And then this is the power switch right here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn mine on. And if you hold it, you can make it dimmer or brighter. I want it pretty bright. So I'm going to use my paper and get it on here. And the first thing I'm going to do is trace my template, which is just going to give me a big rectangular space to work with. And I am going to use just a pencil for that. So let's go ahead and trace. And again, this is just a boot camp. So if your rectangle gets off a little bit, it's not the end of the world. Because as a matter of fact, I think some students have kind of fiddled with some of the templates. So they're not so perfectly rectangular anymore. All right, so there is my rectangle. If I turn off my light pad, you could see it better. So there's my rectangle. Next thing I'm going to do is underneath my rectangle, I'm going to center a letter. I'm just going to pick the letter G. It honestly does not matter at all what letter you use. Just pick a letter and trace it. Be nice and neat. Follow the outline as close as you can. And then you are finished with your light pad. And you are finished with your tracers. So once you have this, the next thing you're going to do is, right now I have a letter, so my letter is enclosed 1 space. I'm going to break up my background into 3 other different spaces. Okay, so I now have a total of 4 spaces. I've got a space back here, I've got a space over here, I've got a space right here, and I've got a space right here. And actually, instead of saying space, I could say shape. I have 4 shapes that I have created, and my goal now is to make this letter, whatever letter you have used, we're going to try and make that come towards us, because that's the positive space, and all this back here is negative space. And we're going to make it come towards us using only one thing, line. Okay, line. So there's all sorts of different types of line, and in your module you have examples of line and how you can put them together to create pattern. So pattern is a principle of design. Line is an element of art. We're going to use lines over and over and over again in a expected way to create a pattern. So it should be a repeated same type of thing that would create a pattern. So we're going to use lines over and over. You can create any type of lines you would like. Thin lines, thick lines, wavy lines, diagonal lines, zigzag lines, whatever you wish. But you're not going to use pencil first. Just go straight at it with your gel pens or your Flair pens. Be nice and neat, be consistent, and fill in that entire shape with a pattern of one type of line using one type of color. We're working just on your letter, which is the positive space. All right, once we've got the positive space completed, so I've got my letter done, and for this I chose the deepest color. Okay, now I'm going to choose my other pens and work on creating line pattern in the back. But you know, the paper around your bootcamp design, don't be afraid to use it to test out your colors, to make sure that you understand their actual darkness or lightness, because now that I see these, it's going to impact potentially how I make a pattern. Because for example, if I make a pattern with this type of squiggly green line, okay, so let me come in a little closer. Here is a squiggly green line, okay, and if I make another one over here and make another one over here, I have the same line 3 times, I have a pattern, right? But if I start to fill in some of this area with more lines, do you see how all of a sudden over here starts to take on a whole different effect than this area over here? Simply by putting the lines closer together, it reads as being darker. Okay, so we want to be careful about how we're treating our background space so that nothing back here overpowers what I just did here. Okay, all right, so I'm going to use this green because it's what I've got in my hand. So what am I going to do? Maybe I'll make this pattern because I had it sort of earlier. Why not? So this will be a good start. I think I may still do something else with that. Maybe down here. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll do some cross hatching from a diagonal standpoint. But again, each one of the shapes in the background should be one pattern, one color. Okay, and that leaves me this. What should I do? What should I do? Maybe I'll use my pen to create a circular line, which then becomes just a shape, which is okay. I know the circles are a shape more so than a line, but there's an outline creating the circle, so that's all okay. All right. right. So I think that is okay. To embellish this a little bit further, what I could do is take my pen and make some of these darker so that my foreground, my letter G, stands out even more. Okay. So you see, by making these lines darker, ooh, that was a little slip up there. And actually my lines are getting a little uneven. That's okay. It's just a boot camp. Just really working on making this letter G pop out and become the item that is closest to us. I want everything else to go into the background. So there, now my G is the thing that is closest to us. And the last thing that I'll do on my design is I'm going to take a plain Jane. Oh, I better make sure this is not going to go through, and it is. So let me get a piece of paper and put under here. I'm going to go over all of pencil lines. There we go. Don't forget to put your art ID number on it. Take a picture of this and save it in your Google Drive because you are going to need it later.